Good afternoon, everyone. If you're calling from the East Coast, my name is Kara DeVera Johnson. I am the account manager for Carolina Solar Services located in Durham, North Carolina. I want to thank each and every one of you for your time, for joining us today for Solar Safety Week. Our facilitator today is Adam Powers. I'll let he'll tell you a little bit about himself in a few moments.
Again, my name is Adam Powers. I'm here in Washington State, and I am the executive director of KeyTech Labs, which is a nonprofit that me and my brother started, where our mission is to bring emerging technologies to underprivileged areas to help create self-sustainable communities. I work in the solar industry. I'm part of BOSS, and I'm just so happy to be a part of Solar Safety Week because this is such an important week. And it's Happy Pride Month as well. And the reason it's so important that everybody knows about Solar Safety Week is obviously for our safety, but also to encourage this not just for a small organization, but throughout the whole solar industry. We need to keep each other safe, whether that's mental, whether that's physical, emotional. Safety is such a big concern within our lives and within the workspace. So I'm so glad that K-Roll started this, and this is the second annual Solar Safety Week. Next slide. So today you have two wonderful speakers. One's going to be talking about time management, and that's Jessica Jenkins from Carolina Solar Services. And next we're going to hear about hearing and vision safety by Kelly Murrett by Lightwave Solar, or she works at Lightwave Solar. So I am so happy to introduce everybody, and hopefully I got everybody's name right, and I will pass it along to Jessica Jenkins to take this over and talk about time management.
Awesome. All right. Oh, thanks for that intro. Hey everyone. Excited to be on the call. I remember this a bit about me from last year's Solar Safety Week. So I'm the Vice President of General Services at Carolina Solar Services. I've been here I'm coming up on my 6-year anniversary. And I'm going to talk a little bit about time management today. And I'm really excited because this is something I've been working really hard on in my life. So we can go ahead to the next slide. Awesome. All right. Get my notes up. Let's see. So some of you may be thinking, is time management really a safety issue? I think that was one of my first thoughts. But it dawned on me that at CSS, we have 8 principles of safe work that guide all of the work that we do in the field. And the second of those 8 principles is don't rush, stay focused. And we say that a lot. I oversee safety at Carolina Solar Services, and we have a safety director. And we're constantly articulating and reminding everybody about our 8 principles. And don't rush, stay focused is key. Time management is definitely a safety issue because there are many sources of pressures that individuals face at work when trying to get a job done. We, feel that pressure in a corporate environment, in the office, we feel it in the field. And time or lack thereof it is a major driver in whether or not employees feel they need to rush to get a job complete. So it's important to plan accordingly to avoid having to rush tasks. The results of poor time management not only include increased likelihood of an oversight, which could cause an incident, but also there are other, non-safety repercussions. You just may have poor quality of work, missed deadlines. It may strain your relationships with your coworkers because you therefore put pressure on them to get things done last minute. Unwanted stress for you, financial penalties, and just general work-life imbalance. So, let's go to the next slide, please. Perfect. So what do you do if you find that you're running out of time? Some of these may sound familiar to you. Evernote, Trello, Microsoft Planner, Google Tasks. There's this app called Remember the Milk these are just a few of the softwares that I have interacted with in my career to improve my time management. And I don't use any of them now. Well, and I'm thinking to myself, why does this happen? And I recently stumbled upon a Harvard Business Review article that broke it down for me, and it's largely I cited that article quite a bit in this presentation, so the link is in the slide. Feel free to check it out. But the skills that comprise time management really precede the effectiveness of any tool or app. So the article, gave an example that just because you purchase a great set of knives and you have some fresh ingredients, you're not going to be a 5-star chef. So if you just find a cool scheduling app, but you don't have your prerequisite time management skills, it may not produce the positive time management outcomes that you're looking for. So what I want to focus on today is what are the key time management skills, and not just what are the cool apps that we could use to help us with our time management. The HBR article says that really there are 3 skills we need to build on simultaneously to improve time management: awareness, arrangement, and adaptation. And awareness is just thinking realistically about your time and understanding that it's a limited resource. Arrangement is designing and organizing your goals to effectively use that time. And adaptation is then monitoring kind of how you're doing. How do you adjust to interruptions? How do you adjust to changing priorities? So it's really the reflective piece. Of these skills, we're probably the most familiar with arrangement because that's typically where we find, Evernote, Trello, Remember the Milk, Microsoft To Do comes in to help us. But all 3 are important. And the HBR article revealed some findings through a study that they did. One was that all 3 matter equally. People struggle the most with awareness and adaptation. Our preferences for multitasking are actually unrelated to our abilities to manage our time well. And then lastly, people aren't really that great at self-evaluating themselves as a time manager. Let's go to the next slide. Thank you. So, what do we do? Just kind of give up and we're not good time managers, so we're never going to be. So we just sort of put that on the back burner. I think we all know in our careers, you just can't. It's one of the most highly sought after skills by employers, folks who are able to show that they can manage their time well. So we want to think about some ways to improve in each area. And I've got a lot packed in here, so I may move through these kind of quickly, but underneath the awareness column, first thinking about your time like it's money. Create a budget that details how you're going to spend your hours. Find your peak performance time. Look at your day, break it out into 4 chunks and say, this is when I'm most effective. This is when I'm going to do my deep thought tasks. This is when I'm maybe not on my game. That's when I'm going to do the sort of easier plug and play tasks. And then, look at how realistically you actually assessed your time. So after you finish a project, look back at how long you thought it would take versus how long it actually took. How to develop your arrangement skills. Make sure you prioritize appropriately. Don't just follow the mere urgency effect. So urgent and important tasks are related, but they're distinct. So you want to make sure to do your urgent and important tasks first. And then schedule protected time. If you use Microsoft Office, there's a focused time that pops up on your calendar every day. So schedule that protected time and don't compromise on it. Tell your coworkers that they also need to respect it. Shoot you an email during that time. And then lastly, and one that's really helpful for me, is to try half-size goals. So if I'm not getting to something in the way that I want to, see if I can break that task down. And lastly, how to develop in your adaptation skills. Use short bursts of effort, make 15, 30-minute chunks, and seek to reduce time wasters. Use those do not disturb time slots, block your social media during critical work time. Last slide. Remember that at the end of the day, building skills takes work and change doesn't just happen overnight. I've been in charge of HR at Carolina Solar for 6 years, and I've never talked with employees more about anxiety and stress than I have in the last 2 years. And I taught high school calculus, so that's saying something. So when you're working towards building your skills, give yourself a little grace. And some tips for doing that include practicing healthy self-talk. So saying, you know, I'd prefer to be able to get more done in a day, but I'm just going to accept what I'm realistically able to do right now. Additionally, and I emphasized this earlier, but I think it's worth saying again, tracking your time to get an accurate baseline can help reduce stress and anxiety for you. It's technically the awareness skill, but there is research that shows sometimes people who say they work really, really long hours are actually overestimating. Sometimes we jump to conclusions based on our emotions. When we get anxious, our brain might overestimate how much we're working on, which makes us feel more anxious and put us in a self-perpetuating cycle. So, take a step back, track what you've actually done, um, track towards those bite-sized goals. Check your assumptions about other people's expectations. For instance, someone may be running out the door on a Friday and want to fire off one final email to you. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to respond on a Saturday. Have clear expectations with your coworkers about response times so that you don't put unnecessary stress on yourself for no reason. And lastly, I'll just leave with this. Try flipping the script. So instead of saying, when I'm less busy, I'll create some better systems to better manage my time, and say, when I create better systems, I'm going to feel less busy. So take the time to map out your day, um, reflect on how you're doing. It's a constant process. But I'm happy to be able to share those tips. I hope that you'll schedule some protected time this week to think about how you manage your time. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you, Jessica, for that great presentation on time management. So one of my questions I had was, what is your main way? How are you able to say no? Because a lot with time management, you have to be comfortable in your no-ness. So how do you manage a great way to say no?
Well, of the questions I thought might come up, I was hoping I wouldn't get that one. I'm actually terrible at saying no. What I have gotten good at is being more realistic about how long it's going to take me to do the thing that I said I'll do. So, whenever you say no to something, you're saying yes to something else. So I think I'll leave it at that. I'm not great at that, but I think that it's important to know how long is it going to take you to do the thing that you said yes to, so that you can give whoever asked you that realistic expectation. And hopefully you guys are better at saying no than I am.
For anyone on the call, feel free to unmute yourself if you have any questions or you want to chime in on time management. If not, I have another question. Jessica, what is one mistake you think that people make with balancing their time that you suggest that we have a one takeaway that we have to leave with today?
I think it is in large part underestimating how long it's going to take to do a thing. I used to have a running to-do list that I used at work. And a few years ago, I realized that I just wasn't getting through those items, at least not to my satisfaction. I was only getting through a quarter of the items every day or a third of the items every day. And so I've actually started to use two separate calendars at work, and this works really well for me. So one calendar is public and all of my coworkers can see it, and it has all of my meetings on it and my have to do's. And the other calendar is a to-do calendar, but it's where I take each item that I've got to do and I actually say, it's probably going to take me an hour to do this. It's not a 2-day priority, but I need to get it done by the end of the week. So I'm slotting it in for Thursday at 9 a.m. And so at a certain point, you start to look at what items keep getting bumped to the next day. And you have to kind of decide, why does that item keep getting bumped? Is it a priority to me? is someone waiting on it? Does it really not matter? And I think taking the running to-do list and just turning it into a real-time budget has helped me prioritize and also um, think more realistically about what I can get done in the 8-hour workday that I have.
Well, thanks, Jessica. I'm gonna let you take it from here.
Okay, thank you so much for just giving that presentation on time management. It's taught me a couple of things that I need to start practicing. Um, and next, we are going to have a talk about hearing and vision safety by Kelly Merritt. So if you wanted to take it over, here's your stage.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Adam and Cairo. Really excited to be here. Great presentation, Jessica. So I'm with Lightwave Solar. We're based out of Nashville, Tennessee. I've been at Lightwave for about 9 years. I'm currently our service and operations coordinator. And a focus on safety in the workplace is really vital for the health and happiness and productivity of our team. So I think it's really important that we're here this week talking about safety in solar. So I guess next slide. First, we'll start with hearing health and safety, particularly in the field. I've got some stats from the CDC. About 52% of all construction workers have been exposed to hazardous noise, and over half of those folks report not wearing hearing protection. A good rule of thumb for when hearing protection may be needed is if you're standing 4 feet away from an individual and you can't carry on a normal conversation, it's likely that you might need to have hearing protection. Also, I know OSHA says that if you're exposed to levels of 85 decibels of noise over an 8-hour workday, that's when it's really important to have hearing protection. This is another stat, approximately 14% of all construction workers have hearing difficulty, which refers to impairment that impacts your day-to-day activities. And what's really scary about hearing difficulty or damage is that it happens gradually. So you don't immediately know like, oh, I've been exposed to loud noise. It can happen over time to where all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but like gradually your hearing is impaired. And obviously a noisy site can hinder communications between team members, which can also cause some safety risks in the field. So some common hazards that we can encounter in solar, as you might know, is handling heavy equipment. Right here, like we've got telehandlers working around large generators for indoors. If you're going into an electrical closet or room that's got a lot of humming equipment. Also for anybody that works in vegetation management in solar fields, those can be really loud and cause difficulty hearing. So it's important that we are screening our employees and each other for hearing loss in the workplace. I was curious if anybody on the call is actively doing this in their company, if they have regular screenings for their employees. Feel free to chime in or just send a reaction up if that's something that you do. I know that's not super common for us. I see one thumbs up. That's really great. They also have, decibel meters that you can bring to sites when you think hazards might be present. But it's just really important too to be able to be aware of what hazards are present and make sure your supervisors or whoever the team leader is looking out for each other and making sure they are wearing their hearing protection. So you can go to the next slide. And this is just an overview of some basic PPE. So you've got, earplugs are probably the most reliable, especially the foam earplugs that can contour to your ear canals. But they do block out a lot of noise, so that would hinder communication. Ear muffs are great, especially the ones with microphones, the electronic ear muffs. They basically monitor noise levels and will reduce the noise level to 85 decibels or below so that you can continue conversations and be aware of what's happening on site, but while also protecting your ears. And in very hazardous conditions, obviously a combination of the two is probably the best. And again, we want to be looking out for our team and making sure that they are wearing Ear Pro at those times, at most times, but especially when there's hazards present. The next slide, I'm going to talk about just some hazards that can be either caused by office staff or that can be experienced by the office staff. So this first picture is kind of funny, but our CFO occasionally likes to take his anger out with a sledgehammer on some pallets. And I had a video of that. And it was very loud. So that might be a hazardous noise experience in the office at times. Also, we're on a lot of Zoom meetings, team calls, making sure that your audio settings are appropriate so that you're not shocked by if somebody comes in and they're talking very loudly into the microphone, it doesn't ring in your ears, or that your volume is down. Another is when if you're in a cubicle environment or in an open air environment, this is more about if you have people walking around talking over you while you're trying to be on the phone, it might not necessarily damage your hearing, but it can cause stress and frustration. So an option for this would be to have signals for when you need quiet time around you, maybe a sign. If you do have a door to your office, shutting your door. Other items can be, having your own earplugs or electronic earplugs to block out noise around you. White noise machines in the office can be great, or if you're doing an office renovation, you can have some sound absorbing materials be incorporated into that to keep noise out, or just dedicated quiet spaces, dedicated loud spaces like your break room where people can tell jokes and all that, but being able to step aside when you need it quiet. So now next slide, we'll move on to vision safety in the field. In construction, eye injuries are pretty common, not as common in the renewable industry, but then again, especially large scale solar construction and demolition, that's really typical to the solar industry. So there are a lot of hazards present there, and obviously too, the exposure to UV radiation is great in our industry. So a lot of the issues are due to people either not wearing eye protection or wearing the wrong type of eye protection, which it may be that eye pro is not fit for the specific situation at hand. So again, hazards can be, debris flying in the air. Say you're working in a crawl space, you need to have eye protection in a crawl space or in an environment where there's lots of dust. So you need to have the right type of eye pro, not just sunglasses. For example, it's probably pretty dark in a crawl space for most instances. Also, UV radiation, UV rays can pass through your eyes and reach your retina, which can lead to structural changes within your eyes and cause things like cataracts or macular degeneration. So it's important to have the type of sunglasses, if you're in that situation, that protect you from glare and UV radiation. And then also when maybe it's overcast outside but still really bright, that's when glasses like blue blockers come in handy, to where you can still see very well, but you're not getting the glare and having to strain so much while you're working. And so the next slide, we'll just talk about vision safety in the office. I think a lot of us spend most of our days staring at computer screens. A good rule of thumb is to keep that screen about 2 feet away from you, or at least, maybe an arm's length away. You want to keep the computer screen kind of a 15-degree downward slope from your actual eyes. Proper lighting is key. If you have glasses that can protect from the glare and the blue light coming off the screen, those are really beneficial. I think now they even make contacts that can have that anti-glare function in them as well. And a cool rule of thumb for vision safety, especially in the office, is 20-20-20. So every 20 minutes, try to take 20 seconds and stare at something 20 feet away. And that really helps your eye muscles readjust and keep you from doing that squint all the time. And then another thing that I've recently started doing is trying to alternate meeting types. We're doing virtual meetings all the time. Amanda Bybee and I have a standing meeting where we just kind of catch up on a monthly basis. And we've switched it to just a walk and talk meeting. So if I'm working from home and she's working from home, we'll both take our dogs for a walk and have an hour conversation on the phone instead of doing the Zoom calls, because we do this so much. So that's just another option for eye safety. And yeah, I guess that's it for hearing and vision safety from me. I'm happy to take any questions that you all might have. Thank you.
Hey everybody, this is Alex Luna with Carolina Solar. Not so much a question, more just for any motorcycle riders out there, the foamy hearing protection, that helps out a lot. Most of us have got some kind of Bluetooth speakers that, for GPS or just for music. So it's a good idea to, put some hearing protection in to help with that road noise, and also to keep you from having to blast your music so that basically you're just, causing yourself some hearing damage later on down the road. So the foam earplugs really help drown out that road noise, makes the riding a little more comfortable, and then just, it allows you to more or less safely blast your music. But yeah, so it's a good idea if you're going to ride a bike, and you're wearing a helmet, to wear some hearing protection to go with that.
Awesome. Great point.
Thanks, Alice. That's a great point. And guys, is there any other questions that you guys want to ask Kelly today? Well, Kelly, I had one question. Is there a difference between hearing and vision testing versus screening?
Yes. So screening is generally like a preliminary test to see if more in-depth testing is needed. Also to kind of have a baseline of where they've started and if there's any degeneration going on. The testing again will get more in-depth. For instance, with hearing, they've got speech tests, so how well can you hear speech? They have air tests to see if there's fluid or any perforations in your middle ear. And then other types of testing to determine the amount of hearing loss. So that's a good point, that screening is more just of a basic, where's the baseline and has anything changed, to determine if further testing is needed.
Wonderful. Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you.
And thanks, Adam and Jessica. I just want to thank each and every one of you for your time for our Solar Safety Week today, because we at CSS and Amicus believe that safety moments are a great way to reinforce a strong safety culture and to keep each and every one of us in a strong safety state of mind. Adam, thank you for assisting me in facilitation. Guys, if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to email me or Adam or any one of the solar safety team champions, and stay tuned for tomorrow. We're going to have a very, very good presentation tomorrow with, Alex will be talking about code requirement safety training. And then we will have Kate as well talk about thermal events and protection. So you guys be on the lookout for that. And please use your link to send it to other members of your organization that may find this interesting and fun. So thank you all for Solar Safety Week. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon or morning, depending on where you call it from.
Thank you so much.